at number 10, we have Truck On. In May 2018, a fire chief in East Jordan claimed that a security camera took this image of an angel flying over his truck. Glenn Thorman said that CCTV caught an angel flying over his vehicle and then disappeared out of frame. He said, "That's an angel," and I was just blown away. The Jordan River's Facebook page shared the image and said, "These photos have not been altered in any way. The second photo, the security camera also shot because the angel was moving away. The camera is designed to photograph anything in motion or unusual. Lots of tears today when they opened the security on their camera." Wow. Some skeptics are saying it's a moth nearer to the camera and that the picture lacks depth perception, but others are straight up convinced it's an angel. Coming into number 9, we have the Texan experience. Danny Ferrero was driving in Texas in July 2018 when he saw something beautiful in the sky. He stopped to take a picture of his view down Highway 105 and then shared the image of the sun setting in the clouds on Facebook. The beams of light through the clouds very much looked like an angel spreading their wings, and the good people of Facebook thought so too. The image was shared on the social media platform 12,000 times. Ferrero said that the sighting came at the right time. He'd been having some family issues. He said, "God can speak to us in many different ways, and for that I'm thankful." Coming into number 8, we have Angels in Mecca. A YouTube video was uploaded to the video sharing site in August 2010. Now, it was said to have been shot in Mecca in 2008. Mecca, of course, is a holy desert valley in Saudi Arabia, sacred to those of the Islamic faith. So this video is pretty blurry, but such was life in 2008. I have to admit, something strange is happening here. Perhaps it's an angel visiting one of the holiest spots on earth, or maybe it's a lens flare. You decide. Coming into number 7, we have Dark Angel or Dementor. Some people in Kitwe in Zambia were convinced that they had seen a dark angel, or an angel of death perhaps, looking over the Mkuba Mall. The dark humanoid figure appeared in the clouds with seemingly no explanation. The apparition was 100 meters long and very much looked like a Harry Potter Dementor. Dementors, of course, administer kisses of death and suck out souls, so not great. People had mixed reactions to the figure in the clouds. Some people thought it was an angel of some kind or some kind of embodiment of God, so they started worshipping it. Others were terrified and they ran away in fear. Apparently the mystery cloud hung around for around half an hour and then it disappeared. How strange. Coming into number 6, we have a guardian angel. A lot of people talk about guardian angels, benevolent forces that watch over them and protect them from harm. This is a lovely idea, but is there any proof that such a thing exists? Well, this CCTV footage from a road in China seems to offer a shred of proof. A guy on a motorbike is about to be obliterated by an oncoming truck when his guardian angel flies in at super speed and rescues him right in the nick of time. Now this does leave him very confused. He's baffled, but he's alive. So have a look at this footage and let me know what you think for yourself. The video was uploaded in September 2012 and has been watched over 11 million times. Is this proof of a higher force? Well, it turns out that actually this is a hoax. It's a viral marketing campaign for a Chinese game called Dragon Totem Girl. Makes me kinda sad. Speaking of guardian angels, it seems one showed up at a hospital at number 5. I found this image alongside the story of Chelsea Banton. Chelsea was 14 when she nearly died of pneumonia. Now her illness had reached the point where doctors recommended switching off her life support. Her mother made the unthinkable decision to follow the doctor's advice. Now it was thought that Chelsea would quickly die, but she survived the night and then began to make a miraculous recovery. One of the nurses had reported a man standing by Chelsea's door, and when her mother seemed totally baffled by it, they watched over the CCTV footage. This is what they saw. Whether or not it's just a patch of light from a particularly sunny window, or whether what you're seeing is actually the figure of an angel, one thing's for sure, what happened to Chelsea was an absolute miracle. Coming into number 4, we have the Stairway to Heaven. In July 2018, footage from Tuscaloosa, Alabama was uploaded to the internet. The video was shot on a stormy day and the camera captures the dark clouds, only there's something going on in those clouds. If you look closely, you can see what looks like two two people walking through them. Now they don't appear to have wings, but could these be angels anyway? It seems that the footage was shot as part of a live stream and only later were the figures spotted. On YouTube, the miraculous video has been viewed 2.2 million times. Now Alabama is a pretty religious place, and it seemed to have many people locally as well as further spread across the world totally convinced of heavenly activity. There's something similar happening in Ghana at number 3. A Ghanaian news channel reported on a strange sighting in Danzaman, Ghana. The news presenter shares the video, so maybe angels can choose to have wings when they want, and maybe sometimes vampires can't go into the sun, but then maybe sometimes they glitter like Edward Cullen. See what I'm saying? Coming in at number 2, we have fairies or tiny angels. Anyone watching who's roughly my age or a few years older from the UK, do you remember Goldie looking Jane? Because I certainly do. I really enjoyed them as a teen, and you know what, who doesn't love a bit of Welsh rap at the best of times? You might be wondering what they're up to now. Well, let me tell you, spotting fairies in the garden. That's what. So John Rutledge, a member of Goldie Looking Chain, was out having a lovely walk with his dog in Newbridge, Wales, when he decided to take some snaps of the beautiful sunny summer's day. Now, if the sun is shining in the UK, especially Wales, you are going to want to capture that on camera. It turns out that John got more than he bargained for when he looked at his film. While he surveyed his pictures after his walk, he realised that he had actually captured what looked like 7 tiny winged humanoids. Now, are these little angels or are they fairies? Or are fairies just tiny angels anyway? The pop star said that ever since childhood he wanted to witness a paranormal event. He said, "The last thing I expected was a winged entity in a wood in South Wales, but there it is, smack bang in your face. It's solid evidence." Imagine him saying that in his Welsh accent. Solid. On closer inspection, the picture is seemingly legit. It does look like tiny winged people. Finally, coming into number 1, this honestly did have me convinced. We have the Russian landing. In 2016, on a live news broadcast in Russia, a bright light interrupted the host. Now, I don't know what she's saying, but maybe our Russian audience will know. The presenter seems totally shocked. Her reaction seems pretty genuine. What else could this be? We don't see wings or anything, it's just a ball of light, but it's really strange, and again, her reaction speaks volumes. Was this an actual angel caught on camera?
Caught on CCTV cameras. At number 10 is this first demon caught on CCTV. This eerie photograph from 2008 reveals something inexplicable, and it's not a Photoshop trick either. It's a real head scratcher. Neil Sandback, a photographer, was just doing his job, snapping pictures for a couple planning their wedding in Hertfordshire. But when he examined his digital shots, he found a puzzling figure. In the corner of the building, there was a glowing, ghostly apparition of a younger human. What's unsettling is the level of detail. You can make out facial features which oddly resemble more of a skull than a human face. Even more chilling, the farm staff had witnessed a similar figure, a young man in white nightclothes. Real or not, this one is a bone-chilling mystery. At number 9 is the man on CCTV. A car's dash cam captured something inexplicable. At around 2:30 in the morning, as the car cruised down a desolate highway, a man in blue shorts and a white t-shirt seemed to just appear out of thin air. The car then would go to pass right through him, and when the driver looked back, the mysterious figure had vanished into the night. It's like he just popped out of nowhere, materializing out of thin air from the ether itself. Was this a ghost? Skeptics argue it might be a shadowy illusion cast in front of the vehicle, but the truth remains as elusive as the apparition itself. If you're enjoying this video so far, please support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Most Amazing, and ringing that notification bell. I personally would really appreciate it if you did. At number 8 is the haunted barbershop CCTV. This unsettling video from just a regular barbershop, things take a bizarre turn. You see, at first, it seems just like an ordinary day with someone getting a haircut and the staff going about their business. But then, something spine-tingling happens. The barber's cape mysteriously moves on its own. It's the kind of moment that makes you wonder, did I really see that? So they decided to review the CCTV footage, and that's when the hair-raising reality hits them. Watch closely as the blue cape shifts inexplicably. You might be asking, when will someone notice? And they actually do, and their reaction is exactly what you'd expect. Now, here comes the most hair-raising part. This clip goes on to become even more disturbing, giving you the kind of creeps that make you question the boundaries of the known and unknown, leaving you lingering with that fleeting sense of eerie uncertainty. At number 7 is the Manchester office security footage. Security guards casually scanning through their surveillance screen on the early hours of November 1st were just minding their business, but then the mundane turns into a nightmarish roller coaster ride. You see, at precisely 3 a.m., the entire office undergoes a freakish transformation. All the computers' power go on simultaneously, casting an eerie blue glow. Then chairs begin to take flight, seemingly possessed by an invisible force. Cabinets swing open on their own, and the office paraphernalia dance like marionettes gone wild, a scene right out of a horror movie. Now, what's so peculiar about 3 a.m.? Well, some folks call it the witching hour. The boundary between our world and the supernatural realm supposedly weakens to a thin veil, allowing mischievous spirits to cross over. Could it be that these relentless entities chose this unholy hour to unleash their chaos on this unsuspecting office? The footage certainly raises more questions than it answers. Check it out for yourself. At number 6 is the Croatia found footage. A truly spine-tingling video from Croatia that'll make you question the very fabric of reality as you know it. So when these two guys are just chilling, have a good time, they suddenly spot something bizarre in the distance. At first they're just like, meh, what was that? And even laugh it off, but that's where it gets scary. This eerie figure starts getting closer and the dudes, well, I mean, they're strangely pretty chill. I mean, seriously, if I saw that thing, I'd be sprinting for the hills. The way it moves is just unnatural and disturbing, but hold on to your horses because it gets worse. When they finally make a run for it, the thing starts chasing them, standing upright like something out of a horror movie. And here's the kicker. The description claims that these guys vanished after this incident. Seriously, you'll want to check out the video and decide for yourself. At number 5 is the Ventura Bar. It's the dead of the night and chairs start sliding around by themselves. The bar manager shared this video on social media and it gave everybody the heebie-jeebies. Fast forward a few weeks and we've got more chair shenanigans, but this time it's broad daylight and people are watching in disbelief. Did somebody take off a vengeful spirit? That's one theory, and it's pretty eerie. But here's the kicker. This bar isn't your average watering hole. No, it's got a wall filled with pictures of every customer and employee who's passed away. Could this possibly be a ghostly reunion spot? And here in the video at 1 minute and 40 seconds, we might just be getting closer to discovering who these relentless spirits are. At number 4 is the chair out of thin air. Here we've got a spooky video showing a chair materializing out of nowhere. And that's just way more terrifying than just objects moving around. Could this chair possibly be from another dimension, or is there something more sinister going on? Take a look at this clip focusing on the middle desk around 2 minutes in. Between 2 minutes and 2 minutes and 7 seconds, someone must have really ticked off a spirit or something. Now you might be thinking, maybe that chair was hiding in the shadows all along, but hold on, if somebody's under that desk, they would have pushed the chair against the wall, right? So how did it suddenly change direction and keep going? It's a head scratcher. Plus, this was filmed way after working hours, so unless somebody pulled an all-nighter under that desk just for this video, it seems like there's some spooky stuff going on in this office. At number 3 is the ghost alarm. Here's another intriguing clip coming from straight out of the ghost subreddit. This one was shared by user Raman8, and the title simply says, quote, "Something set off the security footage on one of our properties. Nothing was stolen. This is the footage." Take a gander at the video and you might just be up for some chills. Upon first glance, it seems like there's nothing out of the ordinary. But as you look closely, there's actually a shadowy figure lurking in the background, almost as if it's walking through thin air. Now, I know it might be easy to dismiss this as just a camera glitch or something, but that eerie outline of a person should be enough to send shivers down your spine. The Reddit user mentioned that the front door mysteriously opened, triggering the security footage. Could it be the work of a malevolent spirit? Some speculate that the ghost's energy triggered the alarm and opened the door, creating that ghostly appearance on the video. What's your take, internet detectives? Could this be genuine evidence of another worldly entity crossing into our realm? Or is this just a trick of the light and dust playing with our imagination? The user did some follow-up a year later, reporting no other strange incidents and no local spirit activity. It might be a one-time haunting, but it's still pretty unsettling. What do you guys think? Share your thoughts down below. At number 2, the water watches back. Back in 1924, aboard the SS Watertown, a bizarre and chilling incident occurred. You see, 2 crewmen, James Courtney and Michael Meehan, met a tragic end while cleaning the oil tanker's cargo tank. Gas fumes claimed their lives in an instant, and they were given a burial at sea near the Mexican coast. But the horror didn't end there. You see, the very next day, a crew member claimed to have seen their faces in the waves. A ghastly vision lasting a terrifying 10 seconds. This eerie spectacle repeated over several days. When the ship reached New Orleans, Captain Tracy, driven by the inexplicable events, decided to document it. He purchased a camera, and when those spectral faces emerged once again, he captured the hair-raising image you can now see here. Strangely, once this picture was photographed, all the sightings ceased. A spine-tingling tale of the unexplained phenomena that lingers in the annals of maritime history. And at number 1 is the Madonna of Bachelor's Grove. No, not the Madonna of pop, but a mysterious figure from the afterlife. The Ghost Research Society of America stumbled upon this eerie enigma back in 1991 at the forsaken Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. While Mary Huff took pictures with her infrared camera, everything seemed pretty mundane, but the real shocker came during the development process. In one frame, a woman perched on a tombstone clad in outdated attire, gazing into the abyss. Who was this woman? Well, nobody knows. Was this her own grave she pondered on, or a loved one's? The chilling part is that no one ever saw this woman, yet there she was, captured forever in that still frame, a specter from the beyond. Pretty spooky, right?
Number 10. The Journals. In 1520, Ferdinand Magellan took time out of his busy schedule of sailing around the world to stop in what is now Patagonia, where he found a naked giant dancing and singing on the shore. Magellan ordered one of his men to make contact and to make sure to reciprocate the dancing and singing to demonstrate friendship. It worked. The man was able to lead the giant to a small island offshore where the great captain waited. Describing the scene was a scholar along for the journey, Antonio Pigafetta, who kept a diary of the journey, and that was later turned into a book. When he was before us, he began to marvel and to be afraid, and he raised one finger upward, believing that we came from heaven. And he was so tall that the tallest of us only came up to his waist and had a big booming voice. On that small island, Magellan and his men gave the giant food and drink, then made the mistake of showing him a mirror, wherein the giant, seeing himself, was greatly terrified, wrote Pigafetta, leaping back so that he threw 4 of our men to the ground. But once things had calmed down, the explorers proceeded to make contact with the rest of the tribe, hunting with them and even building a house to store the provisions while on shore. Number 9. Giant in Mexico. In December 2022, TikTok user Squatch Watch Project, who claims to be connecting the cryptid community, posted a video of what they claim is a giant. The text on the video reads, "Real giant caught on video in Mexico." The video shows what appears to be some sort of mountain or cave. There is a hole in the side of it, and there's a very large man looking out. He seems to be staring at the person recording and then backs up and goes back into the rocks. Many people in the comments made jokes, but a lot of them think it's real. One user commented, "What's going to be the government's excuse for this one? The video and the zoom on this is on point." Others are commenting that it's like the film The Hills Have Eyes. Now, is it a giant, a feral human being? Who knows, but whatever it is, I will be staying far away. Number 8. Giant complex. In 2012, a team of explorers and researchers discovered what they believed to be an ancient pyramid complex in the remote area of the Ecuador Amazonian jungle, one not known to the general public, internationally, or even within the county. Bruce Fenton, author and researcher, believes the complex may be the lost city of the giants, so named for the large giant-sized tools that were found in the vicinity, as well as the local legends that speak of a race of giant humans who once inhabited the region. At the discovery site, there was one extremely large pyramidal type structure of approximately 80 meters square base and 80 meters height with steeply inclined walls. This structure is made up of hundreds of large stone blocks weighing approximately 2 tons in weight. The large hill has a flat area at the top where many artifacts have been found. It looks like a paved wall, an ancient street or plaza with a 60-degree angle, perhaps the roof of a larger structure. Many of the stones were perfectly aligned, have sharp edges, and seem to have been sculpted by human hands, said Mr. Giovanni, who undertook an expedition to the site in April and May of 2013. Number 7. The skull. A team of international researchers studying an ancient skull determined it belongs to a newly discovered species that's more closely related to modern humans than Neanderthals, but others in the scientific community say the skull might belong to a mysterious but already known ancestor. The researcher study, published in the journal Innovation, said the skull came from a previously undiscovered human species that lived in northern China. Researchers have named the species Homo longi, which translates to dragon man. The skull is the largest Homo skull ever found, and the researchers say it belonged to a male in his 50s who lived in northern China between 146,000 and 296,000 years ago. The skull shows a face that would have been much larger than modern humans, with thick brow ridges and deeply set eyes, but shows a brain that would have been about the same size. The skull was reportedly found by a farmer in the northern Chinese city of Harbin during the early 1930s while he worked on a labor crew that was building a bridge. In 2018, it was given to a Beijing area university. Now, if the skull does belong to a new species, it's largely unclear what their lives looked like. It's also unclear how much they might contribute to the lineage of modern human. The DNA evidence suggests that if the hominin sees another hominin, they're happy to interbreed, even if their brow ridge is a little bigger or their skull is a little higher, said Karen Babb, a Midwestern University anthropologist who was not associated with the research. Number 6. Mysterious silhouette. In December 2022, a TikToker named MixMasterXL posted a video of a giant on a mountaintop in Mexico. They captioned the video 40-foot giant caught on camera walking the mountaintops in Mexico. Now, I don't think it's 40 feet tall, that's an exaggeration, but it's something giant up there. It's a tall black silhouette that's walking, you can see their legs as they take steps, and both of their arms. Now, if this was a normal sized human, you wouldn't be able to see them that clear or that much. It's clearly something large looking down below from the mountain. Now, the comments were mixed, with a lot of people thinking it was fake, but if it wasn't a giant, then what was it? Number 5. Ancient burial mounds. There is very credible documented evidence that giant skeletons were found across America in the late 1800s. In New England, skeletons unearthed in an ancient burial mound were measured between 7 feet and 10 feet tall. While respected newspapers reported these findings at the time, which points to the credibility of their source. In fact, there are several documented findings of giant skeletons from all over America in the past, with most reports coming from the turn of the 19th century. There is also evidence that bones of giants measuring over 2 meters in height were found in the tombs across Sardinia. This was covered in an episode of Forbidden History called The Mystery of the Giants. There are some reports suggesting that during the 19th century, the Smithsonian Museum in America was very keen to purchase the bones of giants found by civilians, only for them to never see the light again. There is a similar story in Sardinia, with farmers in more modern times uncovering massive bones and teeth and handing them over to the authorities, only to hear nothing more about them. Number 4. Bone fragments. Giant of Castelnau refers to 3 bone fragments, a humerus, tibia, and femoral midshaft, discovered by Georges Vacher de Leponge in 1890. According to de Leponge, the fossil bones may have belonged to one of the largest humans known to have existed. He estimated from the bone size that the human may have been about 11 feet 6 inches tall. His findings were published in the journal La Nature in 1890. The bones were dated to the Neolithic period, since they were found at the very bottom of the Bronze Age burial tumulus. Writing in the journal La Nature, de Leponge describes the bones in detail. I think it's unnecessary to note that these bones are undeniably human, despite their enormous size. The first is the middle part of the shaft of a femur, 14 centimeters in length, and the circumference of the bone is 16 centimeters. The second piece is the middle and upper part of the shaft of a tibia. The circumference is 13 centimeters and the length of the fragment is 26 centimeters. The third, very singular, was regarded as the lower part of the humerus. The volumes of the bones were more than double the normal pieces to which they correspond. Judging by the usual intervals of anatomical points, they also involve lengths almost double. The bones of the giant were studied at the University of Montpellier and examined by M. Sabater, professor of zoology, and M. Delage, a professor of paleontology. In 1892, the bones were studied carefully by Dr. Paul-Louis André Kiener, professor of pelagical anatomy at Montpellier School of Medicine, for which he admitted they represented a very tall race, but nevertheless found them abnormal in dimensions and apparently of morbid growth. Number 3. On a mountain. In November 2022, a TikTok user named Painting with Lizards posted a video of a giant on a mountaintop in Mexico. Yes, Mexico again. They claim that they post all kinds of creepy content. Their video has the text "giant spotted on the hills of Mexico. Is this the legendary Nephilim?" The video shows the side of a hill with many houses. On top of the hill, there appears to be a giant walking around. This being seems huge, too big to be a normal human being. A commenter said, "The fact that you can see it clearly from right there, no normal human can be seen like that. That monster has to be at least 20 feet tall." Now, this is the third time a giant has been spotted in Mexico, and I'm honestly starting to believe it. All 3 sightings were in different areas, which to me makes it seem more believable. Do you think there's a giant in Mexico? Let me know in the comments down below. Number 2. North America. Over 1,000 accounts of 7-foot and taller skeletons have reportedly been unearthed from ancient burial sites over a 200-year period in North America. Newspaper accounts, towns and county histories, letters, scientific journals, diaries, photos, and Smithsonian ethnology reports have carefully documented this. These skeletons have been reported from coast to coast with strange atomic anomalies such as double rows of teeth, jawbones so large as to fit over the face of the finder, and elongated skulls, documented in virtually every state. Smithsonian scientists identified at least 17 skeletons that stood over 7 feet in their annual reports, including one example that was 8 feet tall, and a skull with a 36-inch circumference reported from Anna, Illinois in the Smithsonian Annual Report of 1873. Now, an average human skull is about 20 inches in circumference for reference. The Smithsonian Institution is mentioned dozen more times as the recipient of enormous skeletons from across the entire United States. And coming in at number 1 is the giant in Canada. Okay, so this isn't a jungle, but TikToker Andrew Dawson posted a video of a giant in May 2022 sitting on top of a mountain in Canada. He zooms into a mountain and there you can see a large person. Andrew calls it a giant, and I agree with him because there's no way that that is a human. It wouldn't be that big. After his post, he reported having interactions with the CIA and Canadian CSIS, as well as claims to being stalked after the post. He also uploaded a post entitled "I'm Scared," where he informed viewers that they might not see him post ever again, but that everything was true. He then posted another TikTok of what appears to be military vehicles on top of the mountain where he saw the giant, which is just suspicious. Since that post, Andrew has not been seen on TikTok or any other form of social media, sparking plenty of theories about his whereabouts. His videos have gained millions of views, but suddenly the comments were turned off. Now, with this being TikTok, things have gotten pretty wacky, but it seems that the full story may never be told. Andrew's obituary was actually posted, indicating that he passed away, leaving family members behind, but did he fake his death? Was it a setup? His video seems so real, but his behavior with everything was frightening. Did the government do this to hide the fact that there are giants?
Possessing our number 10 spot, we have a supermarket possession. Before I saw this video, the scariest thing that I thought can happen at a supermarket was inflation of prices, but then I came across this video. This clip is of a woman who is browsing a supermarket over in China. But suddenly she looks around and then her body becomes completely taken over by like a demonic spirit. Her head is thrown uncontrollably back and her body starts convulsing. People in the store approached her and try to help her out, but they become so scared so all they can do is just watch from a distance and call the police. But maybe they should be calling the rain warden or maybe a priest to come perform some exorcism. I'm not sure what a police officer culture would do at this point. If I saw this woman possessed, like if I walk into a supermarket and I saw that, I would just turn around like it never happened and I would not shop there anymore. Indian exorcism comes onto this list at number 9. In one of the most prestigious Hindu temples in India, well, there is a locked room that holds some of the most tormented people in India. It's called the Cave of Spirits, and it is known as the last hope for people who are possessed by a demon. Several girls in a nearby village have become possessed by an unknown spirit. The families tried everything to get rid of the demon, but nothing worked. So they attempted to perform an exorcism in the temple.
One by one, the girls break down.
When the spirit comes forth, the girl loses all control over her body.
The exorcism appeared to be successful.
Mooney will leave, but the spirit that tormented her will remain here forever.
Sleep possession takes us to number 8. A young guy who has had trouble sleeping decides to record himself with a CCTV camera that detects movement and audio. For me, I never want to do this. I never ever feel the urge to record myself sleeping, just in case I actually do see something. Like, I don't want to freak myself out where I can never sleep again. Well, this guy, he wanted to see if there's anything unusual that was causing him to wake up in the middle of the night. But once he reviewed the footage, he wasn't relieved at all. Well, let's take a look at what happened. Let's take a look at what he saw. Yeah, this is exactly why I don't ever want to record myself sleeping. I don't want to know what weird things are lurking in my room, or if I'm being possessed by a sleep demon. Sometimes I have a hard time sleeping, and by sometimes I mean all the time, or I wake up tired, but I'm definitely not going to investigate why. I don't want to know that I've been possessed by like Freddy Krueger or something. Number 7, we have the exorcism of Annalise Michael. When she was 16 years old, Annalise suffered from a major seizure and was diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy. She was prescribed a medication, but that didn't stop her seizures. Annalise said that she kept seeing devil faces throughout the day, and she was even complaining of depression and hearing voices. The voices told her that she would rot in hell and that she was cursed. So her family began to believe that she was possessed by a demon, and they called a priest to perform an exorcism. That's when things got out of hand. Here is some audio taken from the exorcism. Unfortunately for Annalise, she was found dead in her home, and an autopsy stated that the cause of death was malnutrition and dehydration. So during the exorcism, her priest and her family failed to keep her alive, and at the end of it, she only weighed 68 pounds. And it's not even clear if she was actually possessed or not. She could have just had an untreated schizophrenia. Subway possession drives us to number 6.
Oh my God.
Is this real life right now? I mean, good luck sleeping tonight. I don't even know what just happened. Apparently this footage was filmed in a subway station in San Francisco. Someone get that woman a Snickers. But all jokes aside, I really hope that people filming this called the police or told the authorities at the subway station, because she looks like she could seriously hurt herself. I think that she isn't possessed by a violent demon, then she must have snorted some like flakka, because I don't know what else this could be. I'm pretty scared from this, so let's move on. And what the heck is flakka? Who's naming these things? Pope Francis' exorcism blesses us at number 5. This footage was filmed at St. Peter's Square in Italy, and it's of Pope Francis apparently performing an exorcism. The priest that is behind the young man whispered something to the Pope, which caused him to recite an intense prayer. During the prayer, the man's mouth opens wide and he is exhaling sharply. The Vatican downplayed the incident, and they are claiming that Pope Francis just recited a prayer, but lots of people think that he performed a quick exorcism. What do you guys think? And at number 4, we have a possessed woman on a train. What is with all these possessed people riding public transportation? This is exactly why I got my license and drive a car. I'm officially freaked out. This possessed woman was filmed on a train that was in Alberta, Canada. After she looked at her cell phone, she started to act really weird and she suddenly attacked another passenger who was sitting beside her.
Whoa. Whoa, 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 chill.
She grabbed the man's throat and punched him with her other arm. So yeah, she was either possessed by a demon, or this is the direct result of using some drugs. Or this is the direct result of using drugs. I'll let you guys be the judge. Convenience store possession checks us into number 3. This footage is brought to us by a security camera in a convenience store. As you can see, the video was of a normal guy who just wanted to buy a drink, but then all of a sudden he began to violently shake and make strange noises. Someone needs to call a priest, because if it's not a demon, then I'm gonna guess he's going through some like Red Bull withdrawals. If we fast forward the clip to the end, the man passes out on the floor and a dark shadow appears to move in the reflection of the refrigerator door. Watch. A bloody demonic possession takes us to number 2.
Você não é poderoso. Jesus, Deus está aqui. Deus é maior do que tudo.
I literally have no idea how I'm going to sleep tonight. This video is pretty messed up. The person using their phone to film him instead of calling 911 should probably be arrested. He is clearly injured and no one is helping him. Apparently the guy has a gun wound to the face, but I think tomorrow he is going to have an extreme backache. But no, seriously, how the hell is he moving around with his back like that? This poor guy is in serious need of an exorcism, a doctor, a chiropractor, get him something. Pope Francis, where you at? Finally, number 1 spot, we have a really scary possession. I'm about to show you a tape that was recorded back in 1973. This footage was found in the attic of a home by the new owners, and what was found was very disturbing. Okay, what the hell was up with that creepy ass laugh? That will literally haunt me for the rest of my life. I don't think I'll ever be able to sleep again. I think we should all start a support group, because there's no way I'll ever be able to get over this. So the support group will be for me and for you guys watching this as well. And as always, if you guys want to watch the entire clip, I'll make sure to link it in the description below, but don't say I didn't warn you.
Starting off this countdown, we have the infamous Bigfoot. This footage of Bigfoot is the one that started this whole Bigfoot craze. If you Google images of Bigfoot, this is surely the one to pop up. So back in 1967, 2 men were creating a short film in Northern California when they ended up capturing footage of Bigfoot. In the footage, we see him walk by a wooded area. Over the years, a number of people have attempted to debunk this footage, but none have been successful. Is it possible for it to be someone in a gorilla suit? Well, at the time this footage came out, the movie Beneath the Planet of the Apes also came out. If you look at the ape costumes used in that movie and compare it to the Bigfoot video, Bigfoot looks more realistic. People claim you can actually see the creature's muscles and such. How could someone make a costume way above its time? It's not possible. Meaning, this could be evidence of a real Bigfoot. Coming in at number 9, we have Provo Canyon Bigfoot. In October of 2012, a group of siblings were hiking in Provo Canyon when they spotted something in the woods and began filming it. Earlier on their hike, they saw some deer and wanted to get a closer look at them, so they headed up in the direction of the deer. That's when they spotted this creature. At first they thought it was a bear, but were horrified when the creature stood up on its 2 legs. They got frightened and ran out of the area. To this day, they don't know exactly what it is that they saw, but they managed to capture it on tape.
Yeah, we probably should be too close to it, huh? Oh, cool though. Let's go.
Moving on at number 8, we have Allegheny National Forest. In 2007, hunter Rick Jacobs decided to mount a wildlife camera to a tree in Allegheny National Forest, Pennsylvania. The camera worked on a motion sensor and would take photos when triggered. He had hopes of capturing photos of bears, deers, and other wildlife. Little did he know, that he was about to capture evidence of Bigfoot. So on September 16th, 2007, upon reviewing the photos on the camera, he discovered a creepy picture of what appears to be Bigfoot. However, skeptics believe that it's an image of a sick bear, but the way that it's hunched over with its back leg extended makes it look like Bigfoot. In our 7th spot, we have Marble Mountain Bigfoot. If you are a Bigfoot enthusiast, then this is another well-known sighting to you. In June of 2001, a group of teens and a leader, part of a youth group called Campus Life, were camping at Marble Mountain. The group ended up finding a weird den made out of twigs and large branches. Then shortly after, the leader, Jim Mills, noticed a weird-looking creature moving nearby. He filmed it for 7 minutes. To this day, this is the longest video footage of an alleged Bigfoot sighting. Experts have analyzed the footage and have agreed that it's not a human, and that the creature is 9 feet tall. When the Bigfoot noticed the group of people watching it, it began jumping up and down, screaming, and then it pushes a tree. It was just probably trying to scare off the onlookers. Making our way down the list at number 6, we have Lake James Bigfoot. Back in late 2019, a man named John Bruner and 3 other men went on a boat late at night scouting an area on Lake James. Apparently that night fishermen had seen something watching them from the shore, so these folks went out to investigate. That's when they started to hear weird noises coming from the cove. They turned off the boat's motor and used their night vision cameras to scope out the area. That's when they saw Bigfoot and got 121 pictures of it. The creature was estimated to be around 7.5 feet tall. At one point they claimed that the creature was just standing, swaying back and forth while watching them. After 5 minutes, the creature walked away. But again, like all photos of Bigfoot, these photos are terribly blurry. All 121 of them. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with webcam Bigfoot. Bigfoot just keeps blowing its cover. Now it seems like he doesn't care if he gets caught. Also, let me say that Washington State is notorious for Bigfoot sightings. There have been tons of sightings over the years, so Bigfoot must have a home somewhere around there. Anyways, this time Bigfoot was caught on the Department of Transportation's webcam. The webcam was located on Sherman Pass on State Route 20. It caught Bigfoot crossing a mountain pass. Then you see it lurking behind some trees by the road. Whatever it is, it looks massive and hairy, just like Bigfoot. In our 4th spot, we have the Russian Bigfoot. Bigfoot is said to mainly live in Canada and in areas of the US, but this video may prove that Russia is also home to Bigfoots. So this footage was shot back in 2016 and features Bigfoot chasing a car. In this video you can see a black blob appear in the distance, only to then start coming closer and closer to the car filming it. I mean, the creature moves pretty fast since it manages to catch up with the car, which keeps driving away from the creature and then stopping to get more footage of it. At one point in the video, the girls are yelling to close the window and can be heard saying, "He's coming, he's running." Apparently, the creature actually jumped onto the car and broke the glass, but obviously they were not recording when that happened. So yeah. Apparently, Bigfoot in Russia are super aggressive. Also, is the plural of Bigfoot big feet or Bigfoots? I don't know. Big feet. In our 3rd spot, we have the Curious Children. In January of 2013, 3 Russian children were out playing in the snow when they stumbled upon Bigfoot. This case was actually featured on an episode of National Geographic. So the kids were out following a pair of footprints to the edge of a frozen lake. Along the way, they are laughing and joking around. That's when they see a tall, dark, hairy figure in the distance. When the creature spots them, it turns and runs away super fast. The kids get scared and run away as well. They described to National Geographic that the creature was tall and covered in hair, except it had no hair on its face. The children and their parents all believe that they spotted a real-life Bigfoot.
Coming in at number 2, we have the game camera. Another Bigfoot sighting in Washington state. In attempts to catch a supposed Bigfoot that had been lurking around the area, they set up a game camera hidden in a fake rock. They did this as a way to trick Bigfoot. The camera and rock were set up in a man's yard, who claimed he saw Bigfoot lurking there 9 months earlier. Well, they did capture something alright. If you look at the photo, it just kinda looks like a blurry mess, not gonna lie. But they believe that it shows an eye with wrinkles above it, part of a nose bridge, part of another eye, and a forehead. In fact, this image matches the eyewitness drawing of the creature. The photo from the game camera was placed on top of the drawing, and it lined up almost perfectly. Pretty creepy if you ask me. And in our number 1 spot, we have 911 Bigfoot. This next sighting is so creepy. A man calls 911 saying that a tall dark figure is in his yard. In fact, the full actual call is online available to be listened to. So the call occurred in Washington state, aka Bigfoot Central, back in 1996. The man on the phone tells the operator that someone or something is crawling in his yard. He says that his sensor light came on and he saw something run across the yard. When the operator asks him to describe it, he says that it's a good-sized man or something that looks like a man. Then he says that the creature is about 6'8" and is really big. He also tells her that the night before his dog was killed in his yard. Then out of nowhere he starts panicking, telling the operator to send someone immediately. A week later, the sheriff's office got a picture of what seems to be Bigfoot lurking in his neighbor's yard.
911, what are you reporting? With someone or something crawling around out here. Do you see what person or an animal or? I can't tell. All I know is my sensor light came on and I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard.
Alright, we're gonna kick this list off with the smallest animal on this list, although it's by no means small for what it is. In this video uploaded by Exotics Lair, we see the cameraman come across a giant forest ant, and boy oh boy does this ant live up to its name. Imagine having a picnic in the forest and having a trail of these ants invade. Hailing from the forests of Southeast Asia, these ants can get pretty big. I mean, just look at it. At one point he puts it in a plastic container and you can really see the size of it compared to his hand. Crazy. A regular sized everyday vanilla ant coming across one of these would be like one of us coming across one of the giants from Attack on Titan. Poor ants. They live in a world where they might actually meet a giant version of their own kind, let alone, you know, all the other massive sized animals they have to deal with. Just imagine if there was a species of actual giant human beings roaming around somewhere in the forest. Number 9, the giant golden-crowned flying fox. This is a species of megabat, native to the Philippines, and is one of the largest bat species in the world. Its wingspan can reach up to 5.5 feet, or 1.7 meters. So this thing could easily wrap its wings around a small child. Now luckily these are one of those bat species that have those cute, almost dog-like faces. If these things looked more like vampire bats, I'd straight up just never go to this part of the world. Watching these things fly through the air though, they look like gargoyles instead of bats. They have some pretty gnarly claws too. They also, unfortunately, don't eat meat, which is nice. The last thing you'd ever want to see is, you know, watching one of these things swoop down and try to take a chomp out of your head or like fly off with your dog or something. The giant centipede. Alright, so try to watch this next clip without feeling your skin crawl. Not that you can really have much control over that, but just, I don't know, try to watch it without itching and just feeling icky. This is seeking out one of these adorable animals for yourself. Number 7, the coconut crab. So these are the largest terrestrial crabs on the planet. They can weigh up to 9 pounds and their legs can span more than 3 feet. It's not even just their size though. They have this creepy alien looking vibe going on. Their eyes also glow in the dark, which gives them a very eerie, otherworldly look. You can just imagine walking around the beach at night and seeing these glowing eyes staring back at you. Anyway, you'll find these monstrous diverse creatures lurking in the tropical regions of the Indian and Pacific Oceans. So fair warning, if you decide to take a trip out there, just imagine sun tanning on the beach. You're half naked, you're as relaxed as ever, completely vulnerable, right? And then one of these things climbs over to you. Because yeah, again, they don't look like it, but these crabs chill out on land. You can find them climbing on trees, attacking birds, chilling on garbage cans, like in this image here. Yeah, no thanks. I'm really sorry. Everyone's gonna have these creepy crawly nightmares after watching this video. Those are the worst. You know, when you wake up and you just feel like there's stuff on you and you like check under your sheets just expecting there to be some kind of bug or something. I hate those mornings. So yeah, let me know if that happens to you tomorrow. Number 6, the golf course gator. All right, we've talked about a lot of animals that are large, but only unsettling for just being kind of icky, but this is an animal that could easily devour you. This video was taken on a golf course in Naples, Florida, and shows what looks to be a dinosaur walking across the green. It almost looks fake, like it could be CG or something, like your eyes just can't even believe what they're seeing, but this is not a scene from Jurassic Park. This is actually a massive alligator walking across a golf course. At one point, the cameraman tells his buddy to, quote, get next to it for perspective. How about just run? Or at least stay as far away as possible if you really have to film it. We can see how big it is. Foliage in the background and the hole. That's perspective enough. I don't play golf, so what's the hole called? It's just the dirt. You could see it. It's walking right next to it. It's like the size of it. It's insane. Just imagine if this thing stopped and turned its head and just started booking it towards them. Gators can actually move surprisingly fast if they want to. Not as fast as the average human, thankfully, but fast enough. You know, enough to give you a heart attack if you saw it running towards you. Next up, we have an elephant seal attacking a car. Elephant seals can reach up to 13 feet in length with a weight of a whopping 4,500 pounds. Just imagine this big boy like throwing all of its size on you. You'd be flattened into like a cartoon pancake. Speaking of cartoons, this little guy's name is Homer, which is exactly what he should be named. I can't think of a better name for this guy. But just look at how these cars shake as it smashes its head into them. It doesn't even look like it's trying that hard. It's just having a bit of fun here. So again, just picture it crashing its 4,500 pound frame into your measly human body. We just really forget how fragile we are sometimes. As threatening as this guy is though, he somehow manages to look cute and lovable at the same time. I'd much rather meet Homer here than the next animal we have on the list. Yeah, we're back to the creepy crawlies with the giant weta. These massive insects can be found in New Zealand. There are 11 species of giant weta, with the largest being the Little Barrier Island giant weta. Now, these things won't bite you, they aren't poisonous or anything like that, but I'm just ish. In this YouTube video uploaded by Minos Nature New Zealand, we see our cameraman come across one of these giant crickets in the daytime, which is rare. They typically only come out at night. At one point, he puts his hand beside it for perspective, and yeah, surprise, surprise, as you can see, it's big. I'd just be scared waiting for this thing to get startled and hop off. Apparently, they're too heavy to hop like regular crickets, but I'd still be bracing myself for it just in case. I haven't been able to find any audio of them chirping either, but I imagine it's not quite as relaxing as regular crickets chirping. It's gotta be like deafening. Here's one you've probably seen if you tune into Shark Week every summer. At number 3, we have Deep Blue. Deep Blue is something of a celebrity shark. She's a great white who's known for her massive size. She's around 20 feet in length and is estimated to weigh around 4,400 pounds. She's one of the biggest great white sharks ever filmed. She's basically the real life Jaws, except she's thankfully far less aggressive. In fact, she seems quite docile. There's footage of divers swimming alongside her. A couple of them have even touched her fins. Not a smart idea, not even just for the obvious fact that you're getting way too close to an animal that could eat you like a 2-bite brownie, but it's also just kind of harassing the animal. But speaking of that, at number 2, we have a giant anaconda. In this next video, we see a crew of fishermen pursuing the Loch Ness Monster in the Santa Maria River in Brazil. Honestly, it really does look like some kind of mythical sea serpent moving through the water. Just look at how girthy its body is. It's likely that the snake had recently eaten. That's why it has this big swollen section of its body. But even without that though, the rest of it is also huge. It's obviously digesting something. One of these guys grabs the snake by the end of the tail and they try to drag it out of the river, which is awful. They ended up receiving a pretty hefty fine for this, rightfully so. Not only is it mean to the animal though, but is this really the type of creature you want to piss off? Sure, anacondas, they're not poisonous, but their bodies are basically just one big muscle, and their jaws are also very powerful. I can't even imagine how long this one is. We never actually see its head, but from what we do see of it, the thing is an absolute beast. And taking that #1 spot, we have a giant squid. Giant squids are really cool because at one point in time, they were simply thought of as a myth until it was discovered that they do indeed exist. Makes me wonder what other deep sea creatures there are dwelling down there. Now, there isn't a whole lot of giant squid footage as they inhabit the deep depths of the sea, but in this video taken by divers off the west coast of Japan, they captured a live giant squid on camera. This one measuring around 2.5 meters, or just over 8 feet, which is crazy. Like, that's bigger than any person on, well, not any person on Earth, but most people on Earth. It's scary imagining swimming next to something this large, but at the same time, there's also something so peaceful about the way it moves through the water. It's very beautiful. This isn't even the biggest giant squid on record though, not even close. Somewhere in the depths of the sea, there's like a real life kraken floating around, I bet. Hopefully one day we can see footage of that.
Coming in at number 10, we have this tidal wave destroying a boat. Uploaded to YouTube by Multi-Movie Player, this insane tsunami video has had over 4.7 million views. Watch as the giant wave absolutely decimates the boat. I don't know who was recording this and from what distance, but this is far out. We assume that everyone on board the boat lost their life. Coming into number 9, we have a boat on top of a house. How does a boat end up on top of a house? A tsunami. That's how. This picture is of the aftermath of the terrifying Japanese tsunami in Fukushima in 2011. The tsunami came from an earthquake off the Pacific coast of Toku, which registered as a 9 on the Richter scale. It was the most powerful earthquake ever recorded in Japan, and the tidal wave that came reached heights of 122 feet. The water traveled for 6 miles inland and caused 15,895 deaths. This image of a huge ferry boat on the roof of someone's home goes to show the power of the waves. It's become an iconic snap of the devastation. Okay, check out this scary footage of a tsunami wave in China at number 8. This was captured on a camera phone. We see the moment a giant wave sweeps over a barrier in China. Shot in 2011, the wave is absolutely huge and knocks people in the street over, including a motorcyclist off their bike. I have no idea why people are standing around there and staring at the wave. Like, there's a tidal wave coming at you, why aren't you running? Put your camera away and run to high ground, oh my goodness. The next image is of a man walking his bike through his former neighborhood. It's so moving at number 7. This man got very lucky whilst caught up in the tsunami. He was on higher ground and not swept away with the waves, but unfortunately the same could not be said for his home. He can be seen in this picture going to survey the wreckage of his old home and neighborhood, which has been totally razed to the ground. Not only is the physical tsunami devastation caught on camera here, so is the emotional ruin it caused. This is like totally heartbreaking. I feel so sorry for this guy. Coming into number 6, we have more from the Fukushima tsunami. This photo captures the moment that waves breached the flood wall on a street in Japan. We see the wave coming in over the street and it's just so scary. In one still image there is so much damage to be seen. It's presumed that the photographer survived, but we don't know that for a fact. If you think that that picture was scary, check out this video taken of the same tsunami at number 5. Going one step further and recording the deadly waves, this footage is absolutely heartbreaking and the videographer can be heard screaming. At first we see the tide sweeping boats away in the current. This is watched by onlookers and the camera holder from a higher floor in a building. Then nobody can quite believe it as the water crashes over the banks and starts destroying everything on the ground. Now when I say everything, I literally mean everything. Now it is presumed that everybody not on a rooftop or a higher building, or anyone in the street or in a car, were washed away to their deaths. Buildings can be seen being swept along the street. They're kind of like bobbing ducks. It's insane. Coming into number 4, we have the Boxing Day tsunami in Thailand. On Boxing Day in 2004, swathes of the Thai coastline were devastated by a tsunami, but actually, it wasn't just Thailand affected. We'll be seeing a number of pieces of footage from the Boxing Day tsunami on this list, as it was the deadliest tsunami in history. It killed 230,000 people across 12 countries. Now in this piece of footage, a tourist shot some film in Patong. They film a huge wave as it comes in from the beach. Now we hear them freak out when they realize just how big the wave is. They run inside their balcony and try and get away.
I know, I can see it. That wave is a good 15-20 feet tall. Easy.
Coming into number 3, we have a man swept under in the Thai tsunami. This is some heartbreaking footage right here. In this video, we see people huddled on a rooftop. The camera catches a man, someone who looks to be like a white tourist. He's clutching onto some debris trying to stay afloat. Sadly, he is lost to the water. We have another person swept under at number 2. Now this is some of the most dramatic tsunami footage I've ever seen. This horrifying video is a symbol of man versus nature. It is absolutely terrifying. So here we hear 2 locals watching the waves roll towards the beach during the Boxing Day tsunami of 2004. The guys recording point out a tourist still on the beach who doesn't realize that he's about to be swept away. Just as he realizes how high the waves are, he stands up stunned in the face of the tidal wave. Unfortunately though, it's too late. He is washed under and there is zero chance that he survived. Finally, coming into number 1, we have CCTV footage from around the Iwate prefecture. This is the final piece of footage from the Japanese tsunami of 2011 and it is insanely heartbreaking. One moment you're looking at a road, the next you're looking at a road turned into a river. Literal houses are floating down the highway. Later we see a car driving up the road and he tries to turn around. Unfortunately though, a whole ocean of water and debris comes towards the car, which goes out of shot, but presumably it couldn't outdrive the gushing water.
Starting off this countdown, we have the Adidas shoes. Now, this is a famous case of supposed time travel. A couple of years ago, an ancient mummy was unearthed in Mongolia. Nothing was too off about the mummy, besides the fact that she wore shoes that looked like Adidas trainers. The shoes had red and black stripes on it. I personally don't see the resemblance with the shoes, but others are convinced that this body belongs to a time traveler. Upon analyzing the body further, they found that it belonged to a woman who died from a blow to the head. It's theorized that this woman may have indeed have been a time traveler and was killed after her identity was leaked. What else could explain the fact that this woman was found wearing Adidas? Just a little tip, if you're going time traveling, don't wear Nike or Adidas. Moving on to number 9, we have The Fight. A video of Mike Tyson's fight from 1995 went viral online for containing supposed proof of a time traveler. In the background of the video, you can see a man who appears to be recording or taking photos of the fight on an iPhone or another modern camera phone. The fight was in 1995 and camera phones were not sold until the 2000s. As a result, many people are convinced that the man in the audience is a time traveler, who I guess is a fan of Mike Tyson. What also tripped people out is the fact that the main cameras used in the 90s were the ones with the lenses in the middle. This camera is clearly lacking that. However, others believe that the man is not a time traveler and in fact was just taking a photo on a camera known as the Casio QV10A. Even though it's been potentially debunked, there are people out there that don't believe it for a second. In our 8th spot, we have the Mohawk Man. It's like, where's Waldo with these photos? Except you're looking for the person that doesn't belong. So this next image is apparently from 1905 and shows workers and a banana boat delivering goods. However, near the boat there appears to be someone standing there in a white t-shirt rocking a Mohawk style haircut, which is a very unusual haircut for that time period. The men in the photo are wearing suits and top hats and have fancy mustaches and look well dressed, whereas he's there in a plain t-shirt. Due to the fact that he looks out of place, people have pegged him as a time traveler. He kind of reminds me of Robert De Niro from Taxi Driver though. In our 7th spot, we have the hipster, another very popular photo that has been circulating online. So the photo contains a crowd of people in the 1940s at the reopening ceremony for the South Fork Bridge in British Columbia. Well, in this photo, everyone seems to be dressed up besides the man on the right hand side of the photo. Everyone else is in suits and top hats, and this tall man seems to be very out of place dressed like a hipster, hence why he was given that name. He can be seen sporting funky sunglasses, a graphic t-shirt, and of course is carrying a camera. Now, some believe that he is indeed a time traveler, whereas others have tried to debunk it. They claim that all the items he is seen wearing were available back in 1941 when the photo was taken. Either way, he looks pretty out of place. In our 6th spot, we have Greta Thunberg. I'm sure all of you have heard about Greta Thunberg, the young Swedish activist who is spreading the word about climate change. Well, there's a theory out there that Greta is actually a time traveler. This theory came to life after a photo of 3 children was uploaded to the internet. These children appeared to be at a gold mine on Dominion Creek in the Yukon. However, the one girl looks identical to Greta and is even wearing the same braided hairstyle. As a result, people believe that Greta is a time traveler sent from the future to save humanity before we completely destroy it. And then apparently she traveled back to 1898 to the Yukon before coming to the present moment. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the fence legend. So this one is more of a legend, but either way it makes for a good time traveling story. So legend goes that there was a 30-year-old man named Rudolph Fentz who was hit and injured by a New York taxi in the 1950s. His pockets contained a copper token for beer, a bill for the care of a horse, and a letter from 1876 among other unusual items. Turns out that this man was a person who disappeared in 1876 at the age of 29. Like I mentioned before, this is apparently a legend that originated from a 1951 short story book, but others believe that this is actually a cover-up, and that Rudolph Fentz was a real man who was a time traveler. Making our way down the list at number 4, we have the beach time traveler. What's something you would do if you could time travel? Maybe stop a tragedy from happening, save someone's life, or just chill at the beach getting some rays. Because that last one is exactly what this time traveler did. A photo from September 1943 apparently shows British factory workers enjoying their break on the beach during the midst of wartime. Everyone is seen wearing bathing suits that fit the era. But right in the middle of the photo is a man in a brown suit, who honestly looks like Mr. Bean. This dude is also checking something that looks like a phone. Some even say that he's checking his time travel device. People were really weirded out about this man because he sticks out like a sore thumb. As a result, he has been deemed a time traveler. Coming in our 3rd spot, we have the film extra. In this next situation, a woman time traveled to be an extra in a Charlie Chaplin film. Or so it appears that way. In the 1928 film, a woman who appears to be taking a phone call can be seen crossing the screen. The video was in the behind the scenes footage from Chaplin's film, The Circus. The woman is in a long black coat and is holding something to her ear, which she is speaking into. Of course, in 1928 there were no cell phones, so how is this possible? 2 words: time travel. However, others believe that she is simply holding a hearing device to her ear, or that she's holding up her hand to shield her eyes from the sun. But that still doesn't explain why she appears to be talking to herself and holding the black rectangular object like a cell phone. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this one. In our 2nd spot, we have the Canadian man. Now, this photo is pretty odd. The photo is over 100 years old and shows a bunch of dressed up Canadians chilling on a hill. Another Canadian time traveler. At first glance, everything appears to be normal, until you take a closer look. On the left side of the photo, there's a man on the hill that seems out of place. I mean, the men are dressed up in top hats and suits, and he's just chilling there in a t-shirt and shorts. In fact, the 2 men beside him are giving him a look like, who's this guy? As a result, people have referred to him as the surfing time traveler. Like seriously, he seems so out of place. But also, why would you choose that as your time traveling outfit? Like I'd pick something cool, like a leather jacket, you know, look all cool and edgy. And in our number 1 spot, we have the cell phone. Another time traveler caught using a cell phone. So if you're gonna go back in time, don't bring your phone. A film from 1938 shows a woman talking on a device that looks just like a cell phone. Again, how is that possible when the first mobile phone wasn't available to buy until around the 80s? After this video made headlines, a YouTube user came forward claiming that the lady in the video was her great-grandmother. She apparently asked her grandmother, whose name is Gertrude Smith, about the video, and she said that she really was using a cell phone. Apparently, the phones were a prototype developed by a communications factory in Massachusetts. Gertrude and 5 other women were given the phones to test out for a week. But it's still hard to believe that this company was way ahead of the times. When mobile phones were ready, they were big, not the small ones that fit comfortably in your hand as seen in the video. So it really does make us wonder, what's real and what's not? Honestly, it seems hard to believe, and Gertrude Smith seems like a made-up name. And it was never even confirmed if what this user said was true. So it may just be that time travel is real and Gertrude was not too sly and got caught in action.
Starting us off at number 10 is the Floating City. On October 7th, 2015, in the city of Foshan, China, a rare mirage occurred in which a city seemed to be floating in the sky. This was literally seen by thousands of people. It wasn't just a trick of the light or someone lying about it. The footage literally looks like a city. You can see the blocks of the buildings and it looks like a skyline. The whole incident only lasted a few minutes before disappearing, but it did end up on the Chinese news. Some people believe it was due to a government project that only the elite know about and therefore it was just dismissed as some kind of reflection of some kind, whereas other people believe it's actually Fata Morgana, which basically just means a very superior form of a mirage. Don't know why they have to give it a fancy name. Either way, I don't think a whole city can somehow become a mirage for a few minutes, but I'm also no scientist, so the wildest explanation I read was that it was part of the Blue Beam project, which is a secret project developed by the US, and the point of it is to manipulate the weather and create artificial natural disasters. I don't know why they would want to fake create that. And the mirage they saw was them testing it out to see how the public would react to it. Don't know why they did it in China though, I doubt they did, but there's that too. Coming in at number 9 is the Death Cloud. Back in 2017, residents of Teixeira de Freitas in Brazil saw a menacing sight in the clouds. They dubbed it the Apocalyptic Cloud or the Death Cloud, and the videos literally looks like a red claw has emerged from hell and is reaching into the sky. The whole thing was red and it looked like it was a shadow of a meteor that was just about to hit Earth but then stopped a bit before it did. It dissipated into nothing within 5 minutes, but residents were truly terrified. Someone thought the world was ending, another thought it was going to form a tornado, whereas some people saw it as the work of God and called it perfection. It really is a mixed bag of reactions really. Perfection on one hand, death cloud on the other, whatever you want really. At number 8 we have the Black Ring. Back in 2015 in Kazakhstan, a video was uploaded by someone living in the village of Shortandi, I don't know, the pronunciation wasn't on Google, don't come for me. They captured what appeared to be a giant black smoke ring in the sky that floated there for 15 minutes and then disappeared as smoke usually tends to do. Now this sort of sight has been seen thrice before, once in Leamington but that was due to a fireworks test, another time in Florida but that was due to a pyrotechnic test, and another one in Chicago due to an electrical transformer blowing up. Nice. Either way, after investigation, nothing seemed to have happened to have caused the ring. No fire-related activity, no blown-up transformer, nothing. People were speculating whether it was the work of witchcraft or perhaps the portal to hell. Filling our number 7 slot is the Phoenix Light. Back in 2017, a Phoenix City camera, as well as thousands of other cameras owned by normal people, caught sight of something incredible. The whitish bluish fireball can be seen appearing out of nowhere in the sky and hurtling towards Earth as it gets bigger and brighter and then disappears altogether like it was never even there. Now most people speculated it was a meteor, but many remained unconvinced and looked towards the extraterrestrial as a possible explanation. What do you guys think? Now at number 6 is the Face Cloud. This one happened in 2011 in a place called Grand Falls, which is in New Brunswick, Canada. Dennis LaForge was watering his plants when he looked at the sky and took out his iPhone. The clouds in the video are moving extremely quickly, well quicker than the average cloud would move, and the cloud formation then starts forming a giant face I kid you not, a giant face. The face gets more detailed as it moves forward, and it almost seems like the face is the thing propelling the cloud forward. The space for eye sockets is visible, a nose, lips, a chin. It's so detailed it's not even funny. People dubbed it the face of God gliding across the sky. The only explanation George Isaac had, who is a senior cloud scientist, was that clouds come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Thank you, George, for that insightful commentary. Even I could have said that, and I'm not a senior cloud scientist. Coming in at number 5 is the UFO cloud. This one was uploaded by YouTube user UFOVNI, who is a Philadelphia resident. Now, we've seen weirdly shaped clouds before, it's definitely not uncommon, but some people believe that UFOs sometimes hide in the clouds to avoid being detected, whereas others go a step further and believe that UFOs can disguise themselves as clouds. I mean, never say never, right? So in this video, there seems to be a random small cloud in the sky, but then as you continue watching, the cloud starts moving and shifting in a really weird way. The cloud seems like it's reflective of light and transparent, and it's moving through the sky with a purpose and a lot quicker than a normal cloud. It's even moving faster than the clouds directly around it. The cloud also had different lights in it, and the user went on to narrate he had never seen anything like that in his life, and after watching the video, neither have I. At number 4 is the cloud wave. Back in 2010 on a beach in Helsinki, Finland, people were enjoying their Sunday off at the beach when they suddenly saw a massive dark dramatic cloud coming right towards them. Now, they initially thought it was a storm cloud, so no real panic had ensued at that point, and I don't even believe it's a storm cloud, to be honest, because I've never seen one so vast and dark and low in the sky. Beachgoers said they felt it was so low they could actually touch it. In the video, it literally looks like the cloud will devour anything in its path, like it's the doomsday cloud. I'm not even kidding you. Birds literally flew out of the way of this cloud because it was that ominous. No explanation given, just a bunch of terrified tanned Finnish people. Filling our number 3 slot is the yellow flash. In November of 2013, over the city of Sverdlovsk in Russia, a giant flash happened in the sky. Now mind you, this was at night, so the sky was pitch black 1 second, and then all of a sudden it went red, then orange, then yellow, and then it expanded and took over more of the sky as it changed color. It lasted mere seconds, but it was unmistakable, and there were no military bases near the area, so explanations involving that or disposing of explosives was ruled out. The next explanation was that perhaps it was a bolide linked to the peak of the Leonids meteor shower, but lights from meteors are usually blue or green or white because of their temperature, so that wasn't it either. Either way, no one knows where the flash came from, but it came and went, and everyone's just gonna pretend like it never even happened. That's brilliant. Let's just continue doing that. Now at number 2 are the fireballs. This one was seen in Canada, and I'm actually speechless over what it could possibly be. It looks like some sort of CGI stuff or some effect of some kind, but it's 100% real. In the sky, there seemed to be 2 flaming balls that had constant streams of white smoke coming out the top of them. But that wasn't even the weirdest part. There seemed to be a line connecting the 2 fireballs, but it wasn't a line, it looked like an electricity link of some kind. It was a straight white line with electrical current seemingly coming off of it. They moved straight across the sky on the trajectory of this line, and no one had any explanation whatsoever on what it was, how it got there, or that energy line connecting them both. And finally, at number 1 are the dancing lights. This one genuinely freaked me out when I watched the footage, I'm not even gonna lie. This one took place in Greenwood, Indiana, and Quaid M13 uploaded quite an HD video of it onto YouTube. Now in the video, the sun itself is behind some clouds that you can see very clearly, but on the left of it there's a stream of yellow light that comes and goes and dances in different directions. It's the exact same color and brightness as the sun's light, and honestly, just imagine someone trapped a sun ray in a flashlight and then they were just doing this in clouds. That's exactly what it looked like. The video goes on for 2.5 minutes, and the only explanation people have offered is that perhaps it was a crown flash. And crown flash is due to ice crystals in a cirrus cloud merging with the electrical field of a rising cumulus cloud. I never knew I'd know so much about clouds, but now I do. While the field changes, the crystals snap and move, reflecting sunlight in different ways, hence we saw them dancing. Now some people fully believe that this explanation is the right one, and others say that there's no way that that was that. You guys choose whichever explanation you like. Starting us off with number 10 is the hospital CCTV. Now there's really not much I can say to accompany this story because it's just random footage from a Chinese hospital CCTV camera from the 20th of July 2014. So I don't know who the patient is or what happened to them, but in the footage the person's body is on a hospital bed, and for the record the person is dead, that is confirmed. A few seconds into the footage it seems like the soul of the person sits up while the body is still lying down. The soul seems
seems to be staring at the camera for a while before drifting off the patient's body and going towards the door and then disappearing completely. While doing research for this video, I watched a lot of doctored footage of people editing in pixelated souls of people, but this one seems very real and not tampered with at all. What are your thoughts? Coming in at number 9 is the car crash. Now this footage was taken after a bad car crash, and we can see the ambulance and the fire truck behind both damaged vehicles. By this time the injured man is already in the ambulance, but if you notice there seems to be a dark figure or apparition outside the back door of the ambulance. The medics walk past, but the ghostly figure is still just there. The soul is most likely that of the man inside, and it's kind of just standing guard by the door looking around, not really knowing what to do with itself. However, the man wasn't actually dead at this point. He died in the hospital 3 days later, yet his soul had already seemingly left his body. So can someone not be revived once their soul has left their body? There are a few more cases on the list where this happens, so I'm thinking that's just the law of the universe. No soul equals no revival? Is that what it is? At number 8 we have the flood. Now this footage is of a flood that happened in the north of Colombia. The water is rushing down the street, making it essentially a faster paced Venice. The unnamed videographer pans to the right to record the flow of water, and then something strange emerges from the water. In front of a small brick wall, it seems like a tiny small white soul is emerging from the raging waves and then disappearing into the ether. Around 90 plus people died in this flood, so people assume it's the soul of a young boy who got carried away by the water. When I first saw it, I honestly thought it was a white plastic bag, I'm not gonna lie, but with further inspection I realized it obviously wasn't. So is it a soul? Is it just some miscellaneous object? I'm not too sure. What do you guys think? Filling our number 7 slot is Dead Without Supervision. Yes, I know it's not like you need supervision to die, but the title will make sense soon enough. This is another piece of footage taken from a hospital CCTV camera which shows a bunch of nurses and doctors gathered around this man. The footage is from the 24th of July 2017, and you can see them trying to make sure the man is stable, and he does seem fine. They leave the room for a few seconds, during which time the man's heartbeat gets slower and slower and eventually flatlines. At this point we see an apparition or soul or something leave his body. It's the same color as the body, and it looks like the shape of him, and it came out almost seconds after his death. The doctors rush back in to try and revive him, but nothing can really be done after the soul's already left his body. Now at number 6 is the headless soul. Now this one is a picture taken at a party the night before a wedding in Rustenburg, South Africa. The man who took the picture was 100% sure that there was no one in front of him when he took the picture, yet when he looked at it he saw a very clear blurred figure with no head. The blur is so clear you can even tell what clothes the apparition or soul is wearing. Many people believe that a soul looks like the ghost version of you when it's not inside of you. So people theorize that this was the soul of someone who had been decapitated walking by. I didn't know souls could even look decapitated. I thought they were more of a shadow than a replica of us, so this one is also just a bit confusing. Was it maybe a ghost, not a soul? The camera guy insists it was a soul, but I mean, how would he really even know that? I mean, how would I? How would anybody? Coming in at number 5 is the Soul Exchange. Now this one is security camera footage from an unknown street, which shows 2 men walking past each other and a soul transferring from the man on the left to the man on the right. The men obviously don't know each other, but both of them react when the soul leaves one and enters the other. When the soul leaves the man on the left, the man actually stops for a bit looking at the other man, and when the soul enters the man on the right, he jolts a bit and it looks like he kind of tripped, but he didn't. The man on the right continues on, and the man on the left holds his head in his hands as he keeps walking, seemingly very affected from what just took place. At number 4 is the Highway of Death, or the Damned Road as it's also known as. This story comes from Chile and takes place on the A16 highway, which is known as one of the most dangerous roads in the world. The sides of the road have very huge vertical drops, and this footage comes from a Chilean news network and it was aired on the 25th of Feb in 2010. The video has 3 million views, and it starts off with the reporter talking about the incident. Then we see the actual scene of the accident, where a bunch of people have gathered around around the crash site. There's one figure on the left that's making its way to the car, but it's not a solid figure. It doesn't have a solid color or outline like the other people do. The reporter mentions the two victims' names, and then we see footage of one of them on the side of the crash covered in a sheet. The soul walking around the accident is said to be that of Fernando Garcia. The soul seems to be wearing what Fernando was wearing when he died. So it seems like it is his soul. There's not really anything to tell me it's not. Let me know what you think. Filling our number 3 slot is the accident. This one comes from a person called Saul Vasquez, who was driving on the mountain parkway between Campton and Stanton in Kentucky when he saw an accident. From what the driver could see amidst the police cars and ambulances was that a motorcyclist had crashed and the driver had died. Saul decided to snap a picture of the event and post it to Facebook later, where he noticed something was off about the photo. In the middle of the ambulances above the state trooper's hat in midair, there seems to be a faint shadow or outline of a person. People have theorized that this was the soul of the driver leaving his body. Others theorize that it was just sunlight coming in from a space in the leaves, but it clearly isn't, because sunlight seeps through in streams. It never forms a solid outline of a person. The driver didn't actually die on site, he died later at the hospital, but people say it was inevitable since his spirit or soul had left his body already. I told you, the law of the universe. No soul, no revival. Now at number 2 is the human experiment. Yes, from the name, this is going to be a juicy one, I promise you. This footage is apparently from a Japanese experiment done to see if the person could extract the soul from this woman's body. It starts off with us seeing her have this apparatus on her head and the doctors or scientists onlooking from the viewing window. The woman has her eyes closed, and after a few seconds she starts to get blurry as a white shadow entity comes out from her and looks like it's walking away from her, like the soul so clearly has legs and is walking that it blows my mind. But then the skeptic in me is like, is this real? Is it not? I don't know. Then we hear the onlookers screaming, and then we pan to the woman whose mouth is now very much agape, and then her head explodes. At that point I was like, okay, definitely fake, but this video came out when CGI and effects weren't really that good, so again I'm skeptical. The subtitles of the video were all in Japanese, and I didn't even know what to type into Google Translate because it was written in Japanese, so go figure. Some people were saying in the comments that maybe it's a short film, and honestly I have no idea. I know we have a bunch of Japanese subscribers though, so if you know anything about this one, do let me know in the comments. And finally at number 1 is the Stairway to Heaven. This story is about a car crash that happened in Georgia. Now Hannah Simmons, aged 23, was taking her 9-month-old daughter Alana for a checkup with her best friend Lauren. Hannah seemingly lost control of the car and all 3 passengers died. Anissa Gannon, a 19-year-old student, was on her way to work when she saw the crash and decided to take a picture to prove to her boss that she wasn't just late for no reason. In the picture you can clearly see a beaming light ray above the scene, which looks like the infamous Stairway to Heaven. Inside the beam there seems to be a small area that's whiter than everything else. A small energy source, or maybe the tiny soul of a baby going up to heaven. Anissa showed the picture to the victim's family, which made them devastated yet elated to know that they went straight to heaven and that there was no doubt about it. Kind of a bittersweet last story for this video.